Hi everyone, it's Basia, Asian Highlands animal keeper here with another episode of Abnormally Normal. So although it's an abnormal time in the world, it's pretty normal here at the zoo, which includes our snow leopard, who we have here today, is absolutely enjoying this super beautiful April snowy day. So snow is one of his very favorite things. You can see he just likes to slide around in the snow and really kick it up. He loves when the snow falls off of the top of the mesh and just completely covers him in snow. So he loves to do anything that can get that snow kind of flying around. So this guy, his name is Bhutan, and Bhutan is 11 years old, and he's been with us for about 9 years. So he is our super bouncy boy. You can see that awesome jump that he just did. Got some snow falling, which he absolutely loves. But Bhutan here has been with us since he was about 1.5 years old. And he was born at a zoo in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he came to us to be part of a breeding program. So a big way that AZA accredited zoos contribute to conservation in the wild is that we often participate in breeding programs that allow for human care facilities to have a backup of a certain type of species just in case a wild species were to disappear. So snow leopards live way up high in the Himalayas, and you can see Bhutan here is just wonderful at balancing even on that super slippery log up there. So these guys, when they are living out on the mountainside, they are hunting an animal called an ibex, and they often have to perch very precariously on the sides of those mountains in order to take down those ibex. If you guys have ever been hiking here in Colorado and seen those Rocky Mountain goats or those bighorn sheep, ibex is basically a version of one of those guys. So that's what snow leopards would be hunting in their natural territory. You can see he's using that big long tail out behind him in order to help him balance as he's moving across that log. And that's how he's going to balance in order to make those really quick chase downs of those ibex out in the wild, which is pretty impressive. But when Bhutan came here, like I said, he came here as part of that breeding program. So if a wild population of these guys were to disappear, we would have a backup population in human care that we can start contributing that population into the wild, which is pretty cool. So Bhutan was originally supposed to be part of that. Now, things don't always go as planned. So Bhutan here, he had a girlfriend at one point, and he decided that instead of hugging her like you hug that tree right there, he decided to tell her that he didn't really enjoy her company. So Bhutan actually now lives alone because he didn't really enjoy the company of his girlfriend. His girlfriend is at another zoo. She's got a new boyfriend, and they're very happy with one another. But Bhutan was much happier being by himself. So he decided he didn't want to contribute to the wild population in that way. However, there are other scientific ways that we are able to help this guy contribute to the wild population, and we have stores of some of his DNA so that we can contribute that to a wild population if we ever need to in the future, which is pretty cool. Now, Bhutan is super cute, and he actually loves to talk to everybody on his own. So what we're going to do is we're going to hand the mic over to Bhutan figuratively. You can see Sarah's right there working with him. She's going to ask him to say a few words. We get a few questions that are very popular that we want to try and have Mr. Bhutan here answer. So the very first question that we get is, what is it exactly that we feed these guys here at the zoo? So Bhutan, what is your favorite food to eat here, bud? All right, perfect. He said today he's getting one of his favorites, which is chicken, but his all-time favorite food to eat here at the zoo is whipped cream. He absolutely loves whipped cream. It looks like he's got that chicken stuck on the mesh a little bit. He's got to problem solve how to get that into his mouth. There he goes. He got it. So these guys get a raw meat diet. Sarah also has some of that in the bucket that she can show you guys. So it looks a lot like ground up meatballs. So if any of you really love spaghetti and meatballs, so do our leopards. Next time, try it uncooked. Don't actually do that because that would be bad, but that's how our snow leopards like to eat their meatballs. And then they do love whipped cream and raw chicken as special treat every now and then for some fun behaviors. So we're going to ask Bhutan another question. Now, since Bhutan did not want to contribute to the human care population by breeding with his girlfriend, he has helped to contribute in a different way. So Bhutan, can you tell everybody how you've contributed to wild conservation? All right, perfect. He says that he loves to show his support for organizations like the Snow Leopard Trust. So the Snow Leopard Trust is actually an organization that Cheyenne Mountain Zoo has supported a number of times in the past. And if you guys are looking online, you might notice that if you are a member, we have a membership vote going on right now where you can vote for your favorite conservation projects. And when you come to the zoo, you can actually participate in our Quarters for Conservation project, where you can do the same thing. You can vote for your favorite conservation projects and help donate money to those awesome projects in the wild. So a few years ago, Bhutan actually helped to inspire everyone to donate $10,000 to the Snow Leopard Trust, which is pretty exciting. And the Snow Leopard Trust reported back to us that in the wild, after that vote, that year they actually had 0 snow leopard deaths due to poaching in protected areas, which is pretty cool. So if you guys are members, or even if you just came to the zoo, you contributed to those wild conservation efforts, which is so awesome. And if you guys come again when we reopen, you'll be able to continue to help all sorts of different animals out in the wild, which we really appreciate. Bhutan loves being able to help out. You can see he just did that jump. He got so excited that he did that jump again. Sarah did not totally just cue that behavior right there. But you can see Sarah's doing training with Bhutan, and we use all positive reinforcement training. So anytime Bhutan does something that Sarah has asked him to do, he's going to get a special treat for that. So he's getting that raw chicken today, and whipped cream is often something that he gets for doing certain behaviors for us, which is great. So you can see he did that jump, and Sarah gave him a piece of chicken for that. And that's actually a big part of their day. If we need our animals to participate in voluntary care, so like receiving a vaccine, Bhutan actually just received a vaccine a couple days ago, but he got a treat for that. And then these guys even get a treat just for moving where we ask them to go. So we have 3 different yards that we rotate our leopards between, and every time they go out into a yard, they get a treat for going out into that yard, because going where we ask them to go is a behavior, and it's something that they're doing so for us, so we want to pay them for their work. Now, a really cute thing about Mr. Bhutan is we don't always pay him in food. He has a few other special treats that he absolutely loves that will sometimes pay him in those treats. So for really difficult behaviors, he's always getting that, what we call a primary reinforcer, which is that food item. But sometimes for coming out into the yard, we'll give him some of his very favorite toys to play with. So he's gonna climb up there and show off for you guys one more time. Now, one of Bhutan's favorite toys is something that you wouldn't think of as a toy. So actually, not too long ago, I was cleaning out my pantry, and a lot of the time when we're cleaning out our pantries, we find different spices that maybe we don't use. If you're like me, you don't cook, and so spices just serve no purpose in your house. So I brought in some spices for Mr. Bhutan, and we actually had some taco seasoning. So we spread some taco seasoning out in the yard, and then we were getting ready to do one of his behavioral shows, just like you see here. Now, of course, we were unable to do any behaviors because Bhutan just wanted to roll and rub in the taco seasoning. So no matter what we asked him to do, we had chicken, we had whipped cream, all of this really good stuff, but he preferred to roll in that taco seasoning. And when he came up from rolling in that taco seasoning, these guys actually are able to secrete their smells through their cheeks. They have cheek glands, so his cheeks were just crusty and smelling like tacos. It was really gross, but he really, really loved rolling in that taco seasoning. So that's one way that we will, one of the cool toys that we will give these guys is different spices. They love cinnamon. They also love mint. And another favorite smell for these guys is Prada perfume. So they actually really like that fancy perfume. In the wild, they're tracking snow leopards and other creatures by using Obsession perfume by Calvin Klein, which all those wild creatures really love. So what Sarah's got for Mr. Bhutan here is another toy. So if any of you guys have phone books at home that you don't use, this phone book right here is something that our leopards love to play with. So this is a rolled up phone book. We've stuffed meat on the inside, so it'll be a challenge for Mr. Bhutan here to figure out how to get the meat out of this phone book. So Sarah's going to kind of hand one side to Mr. Bhutan. He's going to pull it through, and then he's going to have to get all of that meat out of the pages. Our great apes also love this, and our different primates, they love to be able to pick through and find all the goodies hidden inside the pages. Our leopards tend to shred it and leave it all over their exhibit. So it looks like they threw a super awesome party the night before. And then it's really fun. You guys are getting a special thing here that Bhutan, he is actually getting this phone book out in the yard, which is not something that usually happens because it really is not fun to clean up a bunch of paper out of the yard. But we're doing it here for you guys just to have a nice fun thing to check out with Mr. Bhutan. But come tomorrow, there will be frozen phone book pages all over the place. I think we're going to make Sarah clean that up. Be super fun. She's shaking her head no at me. You guys are all watching Bhutan being super cute. Sarah's giving me a death glare here, which is pretty fun. So you can see sometimes Bhutan might eat some of the paper, and that is totally okay. These guys have very, very strong digestive systems, and Bhutan's really good. He tends to pick through and mostly just eat the meat. Sometimes he'll get little bits of paper that he'll eat, but he digests those just fine. We have a tiger here at the zoo. His name is Chewy, and Chewy will just eat the paper just whole. He'll just eat full pages of phone book, which is pretty funny. Bhutan likes to pick through, and then our best at finding the meat in the pages and not getting much of the paper mixed in is our Amur leopard Anya. So she's pretty cool. She really figures out things very quickly. So Bhutan is going to keep working on this phone book here. We want to thank you guys all so much for joining us and coming to see Mr. Bhutan. It's been wonderful having you guys. So definitely stay connected with us. We miss you all so much. Hope this snowy day brought you some joy, and we'll see you next time.